Alright, it's time for something a bit different. It's getting close to Christmas and I'm going to make some gingerbread biscuits. If I were to translate those into English from my language, they would be called pepper biscuits. Usually, however, there's no pepper in them today, but when I make them, there is. So we'll have some spices, some cardamom, some ginger, some cloves, black pepper, cloves, as I said, more cardamom, bitter orange, quite a lot of bitter orange, looks like. Cinnamon, yeah, some spice, sugar, flour and butter. So we're going to melt the sugar along with some syrup and butter into the pot. I'm using dark muscovado sugar and some coconut sugar. This is the best sugar there is, but unfortunately it's quite expensive. We are going to melt all the sugar, add the spice and some baking soda. It's not really baking soda, it's bicarbonate, but what have you. Maybe some water, and then we will add flour and put it away overnight. This is about 800 grams of sugar, mixed muscovado sugar and coconut sugar, and a bit of water into it as well. Now this is going to melt, and I will add some dark syrup in a while. Around here it's quite common to consume considerable amounts of these ginger biscuits in Yule time, and most people buy them, and it's their loss. The bought gingerbread is boring and insipid, and well, frankly, it doesn't taste anything. It tastes like sugar. You can buy some dough and make it yourself, which is the lazy way out, but quite a lot of people, for quite a lot of people, that is how you make gingerbread. The traditional way is like this. Perhaps not with dark sugar and an obscene amount of spices, but the gist of it is that you melt sugar, add butter and spices and flour, and yeah. You should make stuff yourself. It's not only cheaper, it also gives you a sense of pride, and if your friends and family eat it and likes it, the better. And if they don't, well, yeah, you can't please everyone. It's slowly getting there. It's starting to be quite viscous. So when this is done, I will put in the butter. This is Swedish butter, it's fairly okay, but if you can get it, you should get Finnish butter from Valio. Valio, that's the real stuff. This is okay, but it's just butter, and the Finnish stuff is excellent. So it will melt, and then I will transfer it into the vessel here, and I will use this here ingenious apparatus to mix in the flour later. But for now I have to wait a bit more. Well, it's about ready to put in the butter. I'm not really sure how much I'm usually using, but I don't think it matters that much. If you follow a recipe and there's exact amounts, and you should never use recipes like that. You should always have a feel for what you are doing. You should always taste and look and feel and add stuff if it doesn't seem okay, and don't be afraid to experiment, and because recipes are made in a certain environment with a certain stuff, and you might not have the exact same conditions and the same ingredients and the same materials in the pots or pans or whatever you're using. And trust me, it will never be as good following a recipe as just winging it. You will make mistakes, and sometimes it will be a total bollocks, but it's worth it because you will learn stuff. It goes for wine brewing, it goes for cooking and baking and whatever. Always try stuff, always experiment, never be locked in by a recipe. It's time to transfer the sugar and butter. It doesn't mix very well yet, but it will do. And there's a bit of butter still that hasn't melted. But it will, soon enough. And then I'll add some spices and perhaps some coffee and what have you. You can always do whatever you want. So, here it is, and it smells lovely already. I'm going to grab some coffee. And pour in that much. Perfect. And now I have to open all these. I'm going to add 2 bags of cinnamon. I'm going to add 3 bags of ginger. I'm going to add a couple of packages of cloves, 3 packages of black pepper, 4 packages of bitter lemon, 4 packages of bitter orange. I'm pretty sure it's just a ring, but I'm not 100%. Some cardamom and maybe some anise. Anise. Kokkonainen. Yes. Let's get to it. So, here we are, with all the spices added. I'm going to add some wheat flour of some kind. And at this point you can add pretty much whatever you want. You can add some wine or coffee or some brandy or some nutmeg or what have you. Just experiment. And you can taste it. And if it's okay, then the biscuits will be okay. Unless you burn them or whatever have you later on. But at this stage you can still manipulate the taste to your liking. I just tasted this and it is peppery and spicy and dark and fine. And that is what it should be. I could probably add some brandy, I guess, but I don't have any. Could add some port wine, or you could add pretty much whatever you want. It's your biscuits, and you will have to make them to your liking. So I will now add the flour. I nearly forgot to add bicarbonate. Let's see if I can get this can opened. And add, well, that much, approximately. And we're ready to go again. And here we are. Again. It's a bit... I would like it firmer. But it's... this vessel is getting a bit small. It's going to be a lot of biscuits. Well, I'm going to bring them to work and people will not eat them. That's how it goes. I will let it cool down for a few hours and then I will wrap it in plastic and save it overnight, and tomorrow I will go to the next step. In the meantime, I will clean up the kitchen. There's dough everywhere and flour almost everywhere. So, see you tomorrow. Alright, it's time for the actual baking, or whatever you call it. The forming of the biscuits. This is the dough that I made actually 2 days ago. And the most important thing now is to add enough flour to this to make the dough have the correct consistency, the correct viscosity, if you will. The feel of it should be right. It's been in the fridge, it's a bit hard, but we will work it. And then we will make biscuits out of it and we will bake it in the oven and taste them later on. I won't be filming much because I will be using my hands, but it's fairly simple. You use flour and a rolling pin. You should make this very thin. They shouldn't be in the oven more than maybe 5-6 minutes or something. Then you can eat the biscuits. The first batch is ready. As you can see, the shape of the biscuits are rather dull. You could use cookie cutters and make pigs and reindeers and Christmas trees and what have you, but I can't really be bothered with that. It would take a much longer time to make them. There's also flour and stuff, but that's what you get. And they will go into the oven, 175 degrees Celsius. And the first run is always a test to see if the dough is fine or if it needs more flour or anything. And also to test the the thickness of the biscuits and so on. Yeah, on to the next. We are closing in on the end of this endeavour. The last biscuits are waiting for room to be put into the oven. And this is the result. Quite tasty, crispy, and as always when you are baking it smells wonderful in the kitchen. So what's left now is to bake these and then have a cup of glühwein to end this Sunday. Thank you for watching.